What's going on? All right, currently live. What's going on, people? I appreciate anybody that clicked the link that's watching the video right now. I I'm really excited about tonight's episode. Um, First and foremost, if you guys can just in the comment section, just kind of I guess put your location in. You don't have to say the city, but what state you watching from. I appreciate anybody that's tuned in right now. My channel is about self-reflection, just kind of, growing, learning from previous mistakes, and just sharing experiences on how we were able, or I'm able, or people that I may have on the panel, how we're able to um, get past these hurdles, these objections in our lives. And sometimes that information helps other people. You never know what other people are going through in this world. So sometimes, you may not be in front of them directly to speak to them, but you know, the people that's looking for this information, I pray that they find it. I pray that they find, what it is that you're looking for. Oh, what's up, bro? What's up, Rick, man? Yeah. I appreciate you, dog. You be checking in, you be tuning in, bro, up there in the six. But yeah, so one thing too, I wanted to post up too, guys. Throughout the conversation, if anybody wishes to join the panel, um, you're welcome to do so. I put the link in the chat. I'll bring you into the stage, and we can have a conversation. You can add your input on different topics that I do put up, and maybe your perspective is different from mine. Not saying that it's wrong. It's just your own experience, and sometimes that experience that you had may be similar to what somebody else is currently going through, or what somebody already had. So that link is in the comment section if anybody wants to come up and join the panel, and drop some gems, drop some information. Um, but yes, so 2025 is moving along, and for me, I think that just kind of being consistent with the things I um, that I plan to do. A lot of times, life gets in the way, and sometimes you got to push show times back. You know what I'm saying? But in this situation, it's just so funny how that works in life. I actually wanted this episode to start around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I know some people do get on me about it, but man, I just worked 14 hours today. I got off, and traffic was crazy, but I'm still here. So that just kind of goes into, what I'm talking about. Sometimes, you make plans for yourself and life gets in the way, but at the end of the day, um, you really just failing yourself. So you said you're gonna do something, by all means, do your best to climb those hurdles and climb those mountains, you know what I mean? And just do what it is that you said you were going to do. And over time, you'll start building that consistency, that discipline. And, at the end of the day, you don't want to lie to yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lie to yourself. You want your word to be your word. And, you know, come hell and high water, you want to do what you got to do to try to make uh, make it and see through follow through to the things that you committed to do. But yes, I got a couple questions that I'm just kind of reflecting on. Um, and these were some questions that I actually was going to be going through with another individual of mine, but time differences and things like that, that's going to be rescheduled for another time. But I'm really excited about bringing this brother on, and kind of getting his perspective on things. Really cool guy, but next episode or sometime this month, I'll bring him in, and then we'll be able to chop it up and just kind of catch up and then talk about certain things as well. But yes, again, the if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the page. I also appreciate anything that you could share, I'm sorry, if you could share my page with other individuals, you know what I mean, that would help me out as well. I have a goal this year. I'm trying to get to at least 2,000 subs. So, you gotta crawl before you walk. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to crawl. And I think me just being consistent is me crawling before I walk. So, at the end of the day, um, again, my page is all about self-reflection, just kind of looking at yourself in the mirror and just, sharing information on how we can help others. Everybody is on this earth going through their own journey, their own experience. Nobody's perfect. So at the end of the day, sometimes I be speaking a little too fast. I be slurring my words, but that's something that I'm working on, right? Trying to be more self-aware. But at the end of the day, I think it's very important that we share information with each other, help each other out, and just at the end of the day, we are people. So without further ado, some of the questions here, I guess the first question that I just want to kind of go into is, I know I have it on scroll, so it's moving at the bottom of the screen. So pretty much the question is if you can go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self and why? So this one I was just kind of reflecting on, just kind of thinking about it a little bit. And I guess the advice that I would give my younger self would be to know that it's okay, that things are not always going to go as planned, to never give up, just to keep smiling through everything. And sometimes the relationships that we have in our adolescence, sometimes, even if these relationships are very familiar with us in that moment, as we get older, sometimes those relationships become unfamiliar. We may not even have the same relationship with these people. Um, so it's okay because people come in and out of your lives. That's how it's designed. Some people are seasonal. Some people are there that are permanent, and it's okay. You know what I mean? I do think that relationships with people are very important. I also think that when it comes to um, I think it's very important, relationships with people, but I also think that it is very important to understand that you're going through your own journey in life, and it's okay to not do everything perfect the first time, and to know that regardless of the fact that I would tell my younger self too in a nutshell, I love you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, and I'd be experiencing this with my own children, man. But going through, grade school and high school and all this other stuff, right? Man, those days is rough, man, because you be worried about the wrong stuff, but in that moment, that's all you know. You understand? So I would just tell myself that, yeah, I love you. Just keep going. Just keep smiling. It's gonna get better as long as you don't quit. You don't give up. Um, and the people that you have relationships with now, you may not have relationships with these people when you get older, and that's okay. You'll meet new people along the way, and you'll have relationships that are more meaningful with the people that stick around. So yeah. So the next question is, the person you are today, what had to happen for this version of you to exist? And why do you think that is? Whew. So yeah, the person that I am today, a lot of things did have to happen in order for this version of myself to spring forth, right? So heartbreaks, um, good memories, good relationships with people, people walking out of your life, people staying in your life, losses, um, losing loved ones, um, failing, achieving. Man, all these things had to happen. Um, even to the point just being at the bottom, you know what I mean? Just being at maybe my rock bottom. A lot of these things had to happen in order for me to be the man that I am today. And I think that these things had to happen because it was building my character. You know what I mean? It's the things that we go through in life and the things that don't break us. Those are the things that help build us to who we are today. Those experiences, whether they're good or bad, they help shape who we are as individuals. And I've said this before too, like I wouldn't trade any of those experiences for anything. Because a lot of times, like if I didn't have those experiences, I'd probably be a different person, and I like who I am, you know. Yeah. So, and I think a lot of people we all go through these, you know what I mean, in our own version of them. We all go through similar experiences. Well, I'm sorry, not necessarily similar experiences, or not similar situations, but the point of it all is pretty much tied to something that relates to that. So my situation that I went through, or the road that I took, that caused me pain, may be a different road from your experience, but nonetheless, there was still a pain at the end of that road. But we all have to keep in mind that pain is temporary and we just got to keep going. And sometimes it's okay to say that, my bad. But yeah, sometimes it's okay to say, and reach out to people, when you're not in a good space. I think that's where those relationships that we have with people is so important. Because sometimes people go through things and they have no one to talk to. They have no one to socialize with, communicate with, be vulnerable with, be open with, laugh and cry with. And that's a very lonely place to be, and the battle is always in your mind. It's always in your mind. So your mind play tricks on you sometimes, have you thinking one thing and that's not really the situation. But yeah, so yeah, all those things had to happen for me because it helped build the character of who I am. Yeah, so what does God want for you? And that's kind of like one of my things too that I want this year, just to grow my relationship with God, get closer with Him. I always wanted to know who God was, but sometimes reading that Bible, man, it be like a whole nother language. Especially when you reading that King James version. I be like, man, I just be like, man, I'm gonna put that thing down. I guess maybe that's a bit of it. That's the part of it that's discouraging. But I think what God wants for me is, I think God wants want for me is peace, I think happiness. Um, I think those things, those intangible things. I think that's what he wants from me: peace, happiness, love. I think he wants. He put us on this earth to be fruitful and to multiply. Um, we are created social beings. So by design, we're not meant to be alone. But you listen to the world will tell you differently. And I think that's one of the fronts too people put up, you know, oh yeah, I'm happy being by myself and blah blah blah. Okay, maybe you are in this moment. You know what I mean? Maybe you are in this moment, but okay, get that thing some time, man. And I think time reveals it all. You know, I think time reveals it all. Um, and that kind of reminds me. Well, I'm not gonna say reminds me of something, but I was at work and I drive, so I drive like commercial trucks. I sell life insurance. I do another part time job. I do a lot of things. I been keeping myself busy. But anyways, I was getting off from work, and as I'm driving, I'm noticing like on the interstate, there's always I don't even ever notice like on the interstate, there's the regular lanes and then there's like the express lanes. And I noticed one thing that people think that people think that they're really in control, right? So people may get in the express lane because they're trying to get to a destination faster. Okay, cool. But at any moment, God can slow you down and the people in the regular lane can pass you. And I just think that, some people in the season of their life that they're in the express lane and they just feel like they're in control. And I think that's just one of the fallacies of life. As much as we want to be in control, we're really not. And I just be I'm looking at these cars and I'm like, man, maybe they're in a season in their life where it's like, okay, yeah, you're in the express lane, but even in the express lane, you still eventually it's gonna run this course and you're gonna have to get over in the regular lane with everybody else. And that just got me thinking too, like no matter how you try to separate yourself, ultimately you're still, I'm not gonna say one and the same, but you're still no different from nobody else. We're all traveling down the same path in life. Okay, you may get to your destination ahead of someone else, but that doesn't mean that you're better than them. You understand what I'm saying? So, and even in that situation too, there are barriers. And I think for me, like those barriers just kind of represent those barriers, those barricades that kind of separate the express and then the regular lanes. I think those barriers just represents hurdles in people's lives. So the people in the regular lane trying to get over the barriers to get in the express lane, but sometimes in the express lane, you may be moving along, you may be ahead, but then all of a sudden it slows down and then you see people in the regular lane passing you. Um, But I don't know. I think it's just something that I was thinking about. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but it was just something that came to me while I was driving, And even in the express lane, there's an end to it. Like there's a beginning and there's an end to it. And then in order to get to that express lane, you got to be in the regular lane before you merge into it. And then even when you exit, understand you exit when that lane ends and you're in the lane with everybody else. So, just keep that in mind. I don't know if that made sense to anyone besides me, but maybe I'm explaining it wrong. But it's just something that came to my mind, and people just really think they're in control and they're moving along. And at any moment, God can slow you down. People in the regular lane can pass you. But sometimes you just gotta just focus on your own journey. We all going somewhere. Whether you get there in a year, whether you get there 5 weeks from now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so the next one here is pretty much explain why family is important to you. Just just from a man's perspective, man, just family is important to most men because a lot of times it is our catalyst. It's like our motivation for striving to get better. I think men, we are naturally or natural protectors. Um, I think most men have the potential to be great providers. I think that some men are still trying to navigate which route works best for them, and that's okay. I just think that these men that are doing these things, I think it's important just to keep going, and eventually you'll break through. I think everybody gets better the more you work on towards. I'm sorry, everybody gets better whenever you work towards whatever dream or whatever goal or whatever accomplishment that you're trying to pursue. I think that eventually you'll break through. We just don't know when. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to, never give up. But yeah, so family is important. I think is because for most men it is the catalyst for why we strive to become better. Not saying that that's the only reason. You know, First and foremost, it has to be within that man. It has to be within himself to want to be better for himself. But family is the extra motivation behind it. You know what I mean? So it's just like throwing gas on the fire. Um, but yes, my leadership is important. Yeah, and people that's watching too, I appreciate you guys checking in with me. If you guys want to if you guys want to add anything to the discussion, I do have it in the comment section. Um, I believe it's like first comment or so that I plugged in. Camera looks like it just went out. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think I'm having technical difficulties. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. I think that the camera is giving me some issues, so just bear with me 1 second. Okay, cool. We back. I don't know what happened for a moment. That was weird. But anyways, so yeah, so when creating family, speak on to why leadership is so important. Um, yeah, so when creating a family, leadership is important because you have to have a plan for where you want things to go. Okay, so without a plan, you'll perish, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that the way that you go about to accomplish it won't come without hurdles. Sometimes you may have it set to where you're planning on moving the family in this direction, and that's great. But I think what happens is that's when life happens, and now don't give up trying to push it into that direction. I think you just have to maybe adjust, maybe make some adjustments along the way, you know. But yeah, so leadership is important because you got to have a plan on where you want, or you got to have a vision or a plan of what you want the direction of your family to go. And you have to, like they say, success is intentional. Success is not by mistake. Success is intentional. And without that, oh my bad. Yeah, I seen you pop in, Rick, and pop out. So yeah, just let me know if you're trying to get on the panel. I'll add you to the stage. I think maybe you probably had a bad connection or something like that. But yeah, like I was saying, you gotta have a plan because you want to have a direction on where you want the family to go, or you where you want, as the head, as a man, you may have a actionable steps along the way. But I think what happens is when life happens, you may have to make some adjustments, but still keep pushing towards the direction that you want to take the family. And and leadership itself, there's a lot of things that come underneath that umbrella of leadership. And I don't think that most men are good leaders right off the bat. I think it just takes time. Sometimes it's just a lot of trial and error, and weeding out what doesn't work. Um, yeah, that camera issue was odd. I don't know what was going on. All right, so next one here. So relationships have to be cultivated in order to grow. Can you explain what that means to you? Yeah, so relationships, I think of it as, like flowers. You have to make sure it's planted in good soil. You have to water it. You have to give it sunlight. There's a lot of things that go into relationships that must happen in order for it to be uh, prosperous, in order for it to not die off. And I think a lot of it goes into if you really want it. You know, it can't be a situation where it's one person is trying to tend to the garden, so to speak. Because I think eventually that person will be or will become tired. And when you are not working in the garden, that's when the weeds start to take over. And that's when the rodents come. And that's when the plants die. So there's a lot of things that go into it. And I think it's very specific. I think that these are conversations that have to be had in order to understand what the other person values and what the other person would like to see being planted in that garden. And it goes to say too that even if the person says they would like to see these things in the garden, they have to tend to these things as well. They also have to tend to the things that you want planted in the garden as well. Can't just be one-sided. I know the world says that men should just be men and blah blah blah. Like we just like a sack of potatoes or something like that. Like I don't know. It just but it's just not how it works. You know, it's things that we want as well. And I think when men see these things from the women that they have interest in, it really means a lot. It really speaks to us. It really do. But yeah, I really appreciate people that popped in and got some information out of the episode tonight. I think that I'll be doing a lot more this month. I'll chances are with more people on the show, on the panel, that way we can have more of an interactive discussion. However, at the end of the day, if I do want what I envision for myself to flourish, I have to be the catalyst to make these things happen. And at the end of the day, I do, like I said, I have a vision for myself when it comes to my channel. And if I did help you or help anybody else, I appreciate any comments, any questions. I appreciate you can share it with others. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video. I know my energy is off a little bit tonight, but like I said, it's been about 14 hours at work. Like, it's crazy. But, at the end of the day, I wanted to be here and do this. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. And you guys have a good night.